character-wise, yeah, Carrie was the one that went through the biggest transformation. And that's a fascinating one because when I think if you're a King person, there's so much lore around Carrie because it's the first novel he
Mm,
published and it's the one that made his career and like allowed them to move out of their trailer in Herman and finally get a phone with a connection and all of these things. Like it was so transformational.
right.
But the whole story about how it almost never got written because he wrote 3 pages, put it in the garbage, and was like, I don't know anything about girls, And then Tabitha, his wife, pulled it out of the trash and said, I think you have something here. So, from the beginning, it's a story that has this so much lore around it, right? About him and like this important moment in his development as a writer. But that first draft that she pulled out of the trash, and then the next one, so we don't have that one, that's lost. But the next one that he wrote is very similar, has all the same hallmarks to that first one. And it is like she is completely unsympathetic. Like she is like something out of a comic book. She grows
Mm,
this giant, by the end, she's just a giant brain sack
mm,
literally, and her head explodes. And as Sue is running, I don't know if you remember that final scene, like Sue, who's been, the good one, who's been trying to help her by letting Tommy take her to the prom instead of her. It's her boyfriend, and then she's the one who finds Carrie dying at the end. And in the original version, it's like Sue just starts running away screaming because the head explodes. I mean, it's like there's nothing about like her having to mind meld with Carrie. That's kind of the
yeah.
end sequence that's so powerful is like you get so drawn into Carrie's all the good and the bad and all of the horrible experiences she has to go through and the emotions. And what really struck me is that as he's crafting her and revising her, he's really thinking about like how to make her someone that really is like a lightning rod for all human emotions and that each of the characters as he's redrafting starts to connect with her brain, right, and or her emotions. And so in that final, what ends up getting published, Sue is running away in fear, but only because she was forced to experience death with Carrie.
Mm,
She had to feel it because Carrie grabs onto her mind and takes her with her.
mm,
And so the evolution for me as I was tracking it and thinking about it, and I love this because I had just written a whole book about cognition and girlhood in Shakespeare's time. And I was really fascinated by this topic about like, we're not giving girls their due. Like, they really actually are, people believe, and not just, you know, you go back 400 years, like, they understood that something special happened to girls' brains when they hit puberty.
mm,
And King mentions he calls it mental puberty when Carrie gets her period and starts having telekinetic powers. But he's not just pathologizing her. I mean, he did in the first draft. I think he was just thinking, this'll sell. This is sensational. But as he was redrafting her, you can see she's very sympathetic. And what comes
mm,
alive in her brain is not just her telekinetic powers, but also her ability to remember, which really struck a chord with me. Like, I don't know if you remember this from the book, but she ends up remembering all the trauma that she experienced when she was 3, when her mother tried to kill
mm,
her, and she hadn't remembered it until then. So to me, that really spoke to what I see happening to girls' brains. Certainly during Shakespeare's day and his characters and in the medical literature, it's like their brains light up, like their
mm.
memories, their imaginations, their intellectual abilities, and yes, maybe telekinetic powers,